listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we talk about a free piece or two of technology that you can use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shannon Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology coach, and personalized learning coordinator for my district.
And I'm her husband and producer, Fuzz Martin.
And it is season 3.
Season 3!
Holy cow.
Episode number 62.
Yeah.
Could you ever believe we would get this far? I did.
Sure.
Because I set it up so we hit number 999. We've got a ways to go, sweetheart.
We do. But it's good. There's so many things that we got happening and so many...
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so much
There's
going
a lot. Well, you've spent pretty much the whole summer getting teaching teachers how to teach both virtually and in the classroom.
Yes.
And
at the same time.
Hybrid learning.
Yeah. Blended learning.
Or blended learning.
Or flipped learning. I mean, pick a word.
Online and in person.
Yeah.
All
masked.
at the same time. Yeah. Masked. Headsetted. You also have to wear a window mask to help your students who are deaf.
Yes.
And
just for people in general, I wear it so that you can see my facial expressions.
Yeah, I think that's very good for
everybody.
Everyone
it's just
in
easier
general,
to communicate when I have a mask on that has a window.
Yeah. By the way, so if you're wearing a window mask,
yes,
can you please give our listeners, your listeners, not really mine, I'm just here for color commentary. Could you please give those who are listening,
that I learned?
Yeah, to keep the mask from fogging up.
When I got my super cool window masks on Etsy, and when I received them, I mean, Etsy, like a lot of the things are homemade or, like crafters and whatnot. But they got this little like note that said, hey, if your mask fogs up, put a little thin layer of dish soap on the inside and let it dry. And it keeps my mask from fogging up. So I wear my window mask and I have my little dish soap. Now, mind you, if I've been talking for 2 hours, yes, there is condensation in my mask. Like, it doesn't make it perfect, but it definitely does not fog up.
Because otherwise it fogs up right away, right?
I've seen their masks really get foggy.
Yeah.
So that little dish soap trick works, and you can reapply the dish soap. So, like, I was running a workshop. I was doing, half-day workshops. And so I did one workshop. I did my soap in the morning, and then I reapplied the dish soap. I dried off with a Kleenex, and then I reapplied the dish soap, and it continued to work all day. So
great.
If you have a window mask, a little thin layer of dish soap,
a little dabble do ya.
Yeah, it works great. And yeah, so we got so many things going on. So we're starting this season 3, and I feel like I have so much information. I'm on information overload, and I feel like teachers are all, and just anybody in education at this point, it's like, I don't know, we'll just see what happens. So basically, here's a couple of things we're going to help you with this week. We're going to do some blended learning.
I feel like you've spent half your summer teaching how to do blended learning and half of your summer creating virtual classrooms.
That too. Because
they are cute.
They are cute. But it's interesting is there's opinions on this, because some people don't think, everyone has their own opinion. Like, some people think, well, maybe you're not connecting to your students enough if you're making a Bitmoji classroom. Other teachers like, hey, well, if you're going online, it's a place for somebody to find a bunch of resources. So they're super cute. You can do them a million different ways. I have shown my staff different ways, but even different grade levels have that could be its own little chat. But my elementary teachers have one way to set them up, and the high school teachers don't put a Bitmoji in there. They just have basically a place that houses all their information, like a website, but easier to navigate or put together if you want to do something quick.
I mean, the cutesiness level is kind of inverse to the grade level, right?
Kind of, I guess. Well, and
for some, not for every.
It depends
on personality
or how much time you want to spend clicking around and adding things. And some teachers, I mean, there is Facebook pages of here's one all about Clifford, and here's what teachers are putting so many cool resources together and sharing them, which is
sure.
The biggest piece that I like is the hey, I've created this. I'm not going to hoard it for myself. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
share it with other teachers, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
But I even started, I put up a couple of bulletin boards, but like my classroom will be shared. Or we're doing like a cohort model in my district. So we do have some students in person and some students at home. So that's where all this like blended learning stuff is coming in, because I will be streaming some of my classes for some students that are at home. And so I put up a couple bulletin boards, even though like as teachers, we're going to rotate through. I will only be in my I guess classroom like 2 to 3 times a day. Other teachers will be in there. But I took pictures of the bulletin boards on my wall so I could put them into my virtual classroom. So if we shift online, the kids will have, my cohort kids will have the same picture. Like my classroom, my virtual classroom looks like my actual classroom, because I have my actual bulletin boards in my virtual classroom.
Yeah, that's great.
But that's kind of like
It's a little touch of like normalcy too.
Yeah, or they just feel like, oh, like that's the word wall. If I click on it, my vocab is going to be there.
Yeah.
Yep. To me, it's a way to de-stress too, because it's just like clicking and making things cute. It's a way of being creative, and just I can sit on the couch and be with the family and make my little virtual classrooms at the same time. So this is even about virtual classrooms.
No, I'm sorry. I did take us down the road, but
it's still blended learning. It's ways to function both in person and online. I know a lot of schools are going just fully online. Yeah, so we should get started with some information. So this week we are doing like a mix of kind of like, I have tools for blended learning, since I have students that are both in person, like face to face, and online at the same time. And my biggest piece was, how do we make sure the kids at home feel like they're a part of class and participating with their peers, so they stay engaged and so they are not too overwhelmed and not feeling lonely at home. I feel like that was kind of a piece that was missing this past spring, is that I was connecting to my students, but I don't know if they were connecting to each other.
Sure.
So I wanted to make sure that setting things up this fall, that my kids would feel a part of the learning no matter where they were. So the sites that I picked, I'm starting with, because this is going to be like a part 1, a part 2, a part 3, a part 4. But we're going to start with 1. And the first site is Dotstorming. So Dotstorming is a cool site. It is set up, and we've kind of talked about like Padlet before. We've talked about Trello before. So it's going to be a site that sets you up with kind of like cards, or like, to me, I call them like Post-it notes, but they're set up like cards. And you're able to manipulate them on your screen. And what you're able to do is you're able to share your like Dotstorming board. Basically, it's called a wall, with your students, and they can then like interact with one another. So you could pose a question and the kids can vote. You add little dots.
Sure.
And you can add,
hence Dotstorming.
Correct. And you can you can, as a teacher or the person controlling the board, you can decide like how many times a person can vote on something. And you can change, there's all kinds of things. So you can like add an image, you can go through and have students share like their opinion on something that you just read, and they can vote on it. Or you could post information about like a unit you're working on, and students can kind of interact with one another. So you can add images, there's text, you can add the Post-its, you can, they just did a bunch of upgrades actually in the last couple of weeks here, and you're able to like you can stack and cluster like the little Post-it cards together, and then you can even connect them with like lines, so students can make connections, or you can make connections and have students decide like if certain characters connect to other characters. But what's just nice is when you have this board, and I should clarify, like the free version, you get one board and then you can manipulate it, so then you can like change up your board.
Sure. Yeah.
Students would always go the same board. If you pay for it, you can have more than one board.
Gotcha.
Or wall, they're called. So it's a way where you could have students at home if they're learning and students in the classroom, and they could interact with one another on their Dotstorming board, voting and putting in their information and things like that. And that way they're working together even when they're not physically in the same space together.
Yeah.
So I really liked that, where they could communicate with one another. And I know you can kind of do that with Padlet too, but this one just lends itself, I think, better to some cool ways of sharing, and it's set up a little bit differently. So I was playing around with it and having students interact with one another, and when you can say like, oh, you can vote 5 times, like, oh, well, we want to overload like this one because, and then they start kind of, razzing each other like, hey, you need to vote for like my idea, or this is the best opinion of this one, or those types of things. So
sure. Dotstorming.com. And so now when you invite participants in this one, do you know, is it just by their school address or
yeah, with their email? Okay. You just click. So if you're on Dotstorming, you'd create your wall, and like you would add a card. That's how you had the post-it type things, and you can type in your information. You can upload your images. It's all very like straightforward on the board. And then when you just click the share button, you can do it 2 different ways. You can send out the link. So if you have like a Google Classroom, you could, or in emails, or there's whatever LMS you're using. You can go ahead and drop the link in, or you can actually embed it into like a website too if you wanted to.
Cool.
But you can share that link out, and people are able to participate then on your Dotstorming board. So that's kind of cool. You also have the options too of like locking the board if you don't want kids like voting when you're not, or not, you don't want them on the board when you're not participating as a class. You can totally disable voting. You can disable commenting. So you do have a lot of control over it, which is kind of nice, that while they are free to put their information, like vote on stuff, you also as the controller of the board are able to make sure that kids are participating appropriately.
And be appropriate, yeah. And that's available on the free version.
Correct.
Good.
Yes. Yeah. But you just get one wall on the free version, but you can change it up however you want to.
Because if you're just listening to the show for the first time, these tools are always free. We always go with the free version of the tools so that you can use them without having to.
Right. And then if you really love it and you want to pay for it later on, but
your call.
At this point.
But we talk about we talk about the free. What the free level will get you as a educator.
Yes.
And then, like Shanna said, you can go from there.
Absolutely. So the second one is another one of our cool blended learning tools, is called AnswerGarden. Now I know there's a lot of like word art type of sites
like
out
word
there.
cloud kind of things. Yeah.
So what's different about AnswerGarden is that when you go and you use AnswerGarden, it's kind of cool. You go to AnswerGarden, you hit the little plus button, and you type in your topic. So your topic is going to be how
podcasting.
Sure. How do you feel about podcasts? I should have said what's your favorite, but that's okay. Okay, so how do you feel about podcasts? Then you can choose your AnswerGarden mode. So is it a brainstorm? Is it classroom?
Okay.
Moderator locked. Choose your answer length. It can be 20 to 40 characters.
Okay.
You have an admin password, so kids can't hack the system. You don't have to, but you can. And then reminder email. So you put in your reminder email, so that way it sends you like, hey, you have an AnswerGarden out there. It's been a week. Time to check it to make sure that it's not just floating out in the middle of nowhere. And it tells you, it reminds you, like if you assigned it as like an assignment or something, like
to go and check it. Yep.
Mm-hmm. You can just turn your spam filter on or off. So if you turn it on, it will remove unwarranted answers, kind of deal. And then you can choose if you want it to be an upper or lower case. And then how long do you want people to be able to find your AnswerGarden?
Okay.
So 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, or you want it hidden. So I'll set it at 1 week and hit create. And then I can put this out there, which I might put it on the website just to see if everybody responds. How many of you are actually listening to my podcast? So how do you feel about podcasts? Love them. And if I answer, I hit submit, and then it starts the AnswerGarden, and it starts collecting everybody's answers. And the more a response is used, the larger it is in the collection of words. Sure. So this site, again, it's great because students can be answering at home or at school at the same time.
Right. And they see the results. And
they can see the results instantly, like, oh, like other kids have the same opinion as me. Or if you're doing it for answers for something, it's more like, I would say, a formative assessment for sure, where kids can kind of see if they're on the right track with what they're thinking. Like what vocabulary word would describe X, Y, or Z, and they can type that in. Or like scientific terms. If we're talking about like this unit, what science terms would you think of?
Yeah.
So you pose the question, and then the students, once they have your little like AnswerGarden, there's like a little code, like you just pull it up. I shouldn't say code. You give them the link, which says AnswerGarden, and then gives you a number after it so you can find your question.
Sure, yeah.
And then students can just start loading in their answers. So it is great as a teacher. It's in real time where you're seeing how big their responses get. And then you're like, wow, yes, the class is on the right track, or no, we are so off base right now. And it's cool because the kids at home can see what the kids at school are doing.
Yeah.
If there's a blended environment happening or a hybrid environment, or even if everybody's online.
Right.
What a cool way to have like class participation without having to, you don't have to be in a shared doc, or you don't have to be in.
No, and even if it happens not all at the same time.
Yeah. Exactly. Or they can pull it up on their phone and just answer it, you know? So it's a great way for kids to be able to share their information, check in ideas. You could even pose like a fun question for the day, you know, like, and do mood checks, like, how are you feeling today? Like all of those types of things. So AnswerGarden, again, it's really simple to use. It's free, and it will get some kids participating that may not want to be on video, or may not want to do an audio thing, or they may just, you know, type in a couple of words and see what's happening.
Right.
So, yeah, so you just collect all the information, you kind of see what everybody did. Cool. And then it just goes away. So like I've done it for a week. I can see what everybody said. I did it for a day. I did it for an hour. And then it's just gone. It's just a great way to collect some information.
Cool.
So that is AnswerGarden.
Very nice. AnswerGarden.ch is the website to go to. I don't know what the .ch TLD is, but there it is.
I don't know, but now you can research that for next week.
And you got it.
Put you to work. We'll do some research. Cool. So AnswerGarden. So the last thing we're going to talk about today is our tip.
Okay.
Because we're doing like 2 tools in our tip, and it's using Google Meet. I know a lot of districts, there's between Google Meet and Zoom and Microsoft Teams, like there's a lot of different ways to connect with your students through video. But our district uses Google Meet. We're googly everything. And I learned this week, and I thought it was a really cool tip to share. So, and maybe some of you already knew this, but if your district, like IT
tech services, whatever it might be,
admin, whoever controls your school's Google accounts, because there's one master person that does that, if they have this little nifty tool turned on, you have access to something very cool. So if you go into Google Calendar, and you know, when you create a Google Calendar, you can click join with Google Meet, and it automatically makes your little Google Meet code. You got it all there. We all know, like, if you are familiar in Google Classroom, teachers now have access to make your Google Meet like drop directly to your classroom, which is great. You can interact with students. You've got videos, they can chat, all that kind of stuff. Well, that's awesome. Except for sometimes you just want to stream what you were talking about. So maybe it's a mini lesson in your recording. Maybe you want to have just information going out to students or parents, and you don't want all of the interactions that would happen with a Google Meet. Like, you don't want, you know...
You want focus.
Correct. You don't want people making faces at one another, or you're not muting other people, or you just need to get out your information. So if you go under Google Calendar, and if your IT person has this feature turned on, there's going to be a little drop down arrow to the right, and if you click on it, you can click add live stream. By doing this, you then have the option. You don't even have to pick it. Like it gives you the option. You can add it. Live stream. So then your Google Meet, when you open it up, will say, do you want to live stream this? So you could keep it a regular Google Meet. You can change your mind later.
Sure.
But then you can just stream directly. You don't have to worry about side conversations. You don't have to worry about muting people. You can just stream your lesson or stream content however you need to, without having some of the interference that can happen depending on what you're using it for. So
and
it's
then they
just
only
another
see
option.
your face as well, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So there's no grid view. There's no.
It's just going to be streaming out your information.
Yeah.
Also, you can be super schnaz person of the world, and with the live stream, you can reach up to 100,000 people.
Sweet.
So you can reach your school district
school.
and every other school district in your state if you want to.
There's 400 kids per classroom.
Well, so it's cool though. Is I think normal Google Meet's like 250. I think it maxes out at something like that.
It's 250. Yep.
So this gives you opportunity to stream out to 100,000 people if you want to. I will point out there are a lot of some Google Meet changes that are happening in September and October, and Google is rolling out different things with Meet as like the school year progresses. So it's just stuff to keep an eye out for. But this is kind of a cool feature that if your district has it turned on, you can actually just live stream directly and record it if you want to, and not have to worry about kind of all the extras that sometimes you don't need to have.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And also, just to reiterate, it is only within your organization, so you can't use this to live stream to parents or families.
Correct. It would have to be like through your students' email addresses or like your staff's email addresses. Like even you tried it with mine.
Right.
I tried to share with you. It didn't work.
Correct.
It has to be everyone within the organization.
Yes.
Which is kind of nice for security too. You don't have a bunch of random people like jumping in on your cool mini lesson about Paul Revere or something.
Right. By the way, just real quick, fun Google thing. I was working on something for the website.
I appreciate your fake typing while you're saying
like this is me. I'm either pawing at something or typing. I wasn't using my fingers at all, which is also how I play piano.
Your keyboard, but anyway.
Thank you. So I was typing into I was creating a Google form for the EdTech Directory. So I was typing in lots of school-related terms, and Google came up with a are you looking to create a quiz type auto feature? Like it was reading the text and using clues.
You look like a teacher.
Yeah.
Look at you working online.
Nope, just a web nerd. But thank you for asking.
Yay!
Yeah.
And schnazzing up the website.
Yeah, well, hopefully soon. I don't want to jinx it or give anybody a promise on a date for a new website before
Hard
it's
deadline.
live.
But it'll
we're
be
working
snazzy.
on it, trying to fix the EdTech Directory.
Nice.
Because I tried fixing it before and unfixed it.
We're trying to make it easier. There's just so many sources. We're trying to make the sources easier to find. So we are trying to help you out. So I have some fun news. We have fun news to share.
Yes, we do.
And I think that you should clarify a little bit,
right. If you're listening in sequential order,
you're
going to be like, oh, the Shanna and Fuzz, they lost their poor puppy. Oh, well,
dog.
Grown dog. The snoring dog that used to be in our podcasts and is the name of our LLC, Snoring Dog Media. She unfortunately passed away, and you may have heard that. And because it was summer,
that was last episode that we had talked about it.
Yes,
and but she passed away back in June.
Right, and now it's 2 months later.
Yeah. And we have a new crew member. She's not down here with us right now, and you don't hear her snoring yet. But our new crew member is Rue. We're joining Rue to our crew.
Yes.
And she is a little Cocker Spaniel puppy. And
she's adorable. The love of our life.
She's adorable and keeping the family busy because, we don't have anything else going on right now. So we thought, let's bring a puppy into the mix with mass chaos happening.
Though we did, the reason for the quick turnaround was since we were all at home.
Yeah, we are home with her.
And able to bond with her and not just one of us. And also since I'm still working from home during the pandemic, that I get to be able to be here to train her and take her out and
right, all that kind
make
of
sure
fun
she's
stuff.
not tearing things up or being lonely.
Or
so
she may do all of those things, but
yes,
it'll be great. It'll keep us
it will
occupied.
It will. But we love her. She's awesome, and we'll put a picture up on the website.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
we should get little
her name's
bandanas.
Rue because I wanted to name our next dog Roomba after the robot,
Vacuum.
and Shanna wanted something that was a little sweeter, so we compromised because that's what families do.
So her name is Rue, and her middle name is B.
Yes.
Like B-E-A. So it's Rue B. So
Yeah,
it's
and
Ruby.
And Rue is great because there's so many words with Rue as
we figured it out
syllable.
today. We were saying, she's
a rooster.
How's the rooster doing? So that might be happening too. But yeah, so with everything else going on, a little bright spot in the day. There's a puppy in our house now, and we'll share puppy pictures with you because if nothing else, a puppy can bring a smile to your face when you're stressed out.
So check out the social media channels and the website, and you can see
We'll make
our beautiful little 9-week-old
clothes
Rue
for her or something.
Mm-hmm.
We can make little boots. Okay. So on that note, we hope you are well, and please, this is the kickoff to season 3. We hope everyone is doing okay and hanging in there. So thanks for tuning in, and there'll be lots coming further in this season. So
buckle up.
This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast. If you ever have any questions, you can find me on Twitter at SmartNWI. If you ever want to get more information on the links to the technology discussed in this episode, you can visit smartnwi.com or find me on Facebook or find information in the directory, all of those things. New episodes each week. Thanks for listening. Go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed on this podcast and the Smart NWI website are those of the author Shanna Martin and not of her employer. Prior to using any of the technologies discussed on this podcast, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as described, but we sure hope they do.